watching right now. This is called Singer Jacqueline, a singer, songwriter, recording artist, and community psychologist. And right now you're listening to Harmony of Minds podcast. Now, Harmony of Mind podcast is an initiative by Harmony of Minds, which talks about mental health awareness through the creative arts. To be specific about Harmony of Mind podcasts, we usually talk about stories, triumphs, failures, resilience stories connected to the creative arts in Uganda and the world, probably. And today I have an amazing creative that I have been following. Someone can say stalking.
Wow.
And he's called Mudhaasi. I think he's going to be talking about himself. Mudhaasi, please tell us more about yourself.
Mudhaasi is, first of all, a child, okay? It's important for me. I don't want to lose the childness, okay?
Yes.
Sometimes we think we've grown up.
True.
Then we realize adulting is not what we thought it was. So I'm a child, first of all, of God, okay? I'm a Christian stand-up comedian. That means I'm funny, okay? But I don't guarantee anything, okay? Because we are different. So the jokes may not work for you. I'm also a youth leader. So I'm in the church space so much.
Wow.
I'm churchy, eh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to be preaching today.
Sure.
So when it comes to your biography and what you talk about yourself, like how I said, I stalk you. You said you are a lover of love.
A love of love.
You know, is there like special someone? Because before even we began the podcast, we had talked about all relationships in S4 were very different from the ones that were more intentional than the ones in S5 were more intentional than the ones in O level. Kindly explain to us more about what you mean by I'm a lover of love.
I'm a lover of love because previously I had not understood love. So I used to judge love based on its abuse or misuse, okay?
Yes.
So when I got to understand that I do not actually know love, I fell in love with it.
Wow.
The entire concept of love, okay?
Yes.
So up to now, I'm still unraveling, trying to get to know, because it's the greatest concept there is.
Yes.
Everything, movies, artistry, everything is about this love. And for me, I consider it actually reductionist, like to reduce the entire definition to just think of it in the way of maybe eroticism, lady guy. That's, you have reduced the entire definition for someone who defines it in that way, because it's beyond that. It's family. It's patriotism. It's the entire thing.
Wow.
And all we struggle with actually are love issues at the bottom of it all. At the core of it all, they are all love issues.
I think because they say that love is the greatest, and every great thing has a bigger responsibility, and the bigger the responsibility, what do we expect then?
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why I love love, because I'm trying to, I don't think I'll understand it, but I'm trying to grow in it.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. To cultivate that understanding.
Wow.
Yes.
So you are a pastor as well, a youth pastor specifically, and at the same time you do comedy and emceeing. So when you're doing maybe, let me say, comedy or emceeing, do you sometimes have this thing of the presence of God, coming, like how you're a pastor? Does it happen in your time of creativity?
Oh, like the physical, the manifest presence.
Yes.
I think one thing you're going to learn from me is that I don't roll how the majority roll. I don't roll in those same patterns.
Wow.
Because one thing about God is He has given different gifts to men. And so each person, university.
Yes.
Different colleges, the same campus. So sometimes I'm not really someone of fireworks and this and that. For me, I believe the beauty and the power of God is in that seed germinating, me talking to Jacqueline and then us having a conversation and me learning from her. So for me, that's the presence. Yes.
Wow.
For people who define it in the way of the power and demonstration, it's also right.
Yes.
But I don't roll so much in that way. Yes.
You roll in the knowing, as opposed to, like how they say faith is not what you see, It's it's not what you see, it's what you know or something like that. It's about what God has spoken, and as opposed to what you see physically.
I think for me, like what you're saying, it's we just have different operations,
Yes, yes.
and no one is more right than the other.
Yes, yes.
But it's just much more understanding what your lot is in life. So for me, I'm more of growth and development
Okay.
than motivation and then motivation and excitement. I'm more of cultivate,
Cultivate,
nurture,
grow.
move. So when I'm talking to someone, like I'm doing the comedy, I'm thinking, how is this joke defining something in their mind?
Yes.
Not, okay, just get the laugh and go away.
Wow, wow, wow! That's that. I think that really translates to you being also a pastor and also being a Christian. And I'm trying to sort of like find understanding in the
Sure,
conversation that
I
we are
know.
having. Like it translates from, I'm a pastor, and therefore when you do a joke, it has to be intentional, and your intention is for it to spark something that is not excitement, but that keeps someone maybe think about something, that maybe I need to move this way. I don't know if am I right?
I think you're right, 100%
Yes.
right. Because I mean, not all pastors will do what I do, and I don't
Yes.
ask them to do what I do.
Yes.
But I've been called to focus, to have a focus on eternity.
Wow.
And so, whatever I'm offering someone in the now has to have a context of eternity. So, it has to be timeless in a way that it can serve them for much longer than now. Okay? So, sometimes the questions come in a way, or our operations come in a way that, okay, the presence, and then it has gone. But no, does it have to go away? And why is it going away? Maybe because we've defined it in just the physical manifestation. But God is with us every day.
Yes,
So how can we
yes.
keep that awareness with us every day? So I want someone to have laughter and go back home and be like,
Yes.
I feel good. Even people are like, I feel good. This changed my life,
Yes, yes,
And it's more of a
Yeah,
growth,
it has to
a
keep
growth,
on going and
a
going.
reflection,
Yes.
So if I
Wow.
can spark that in someone's life, then I've served my purpose.
Actually, talking about making people laugh and all of it, like, have you ever gone through a mental health challenge? And if so, how have
You're asking
you?
just for one, or you want like 10? We can just give list of 5.
So, like, if you've gone through a mental health challenge, how have you dealt with it as a Christian? And what are those? How can I say this? What are like the scriptures that you look out for? How have
Okay.
you dealt with it as a public figure? How have you dealt with it
Public figure.
privately?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jacqueline, it's from the word go.
Yes.
We have challenges.
Yes.
Because even what we call trials or examinations, it's a
Yes.
challenge.
Yes.
And so my real first encounter with the challenge was examinations. I mean, PLE, P7. Let me tell you, we used to
Wow.
even get
We
sick.
forget. I have
I
forgotten.
used to come from
Wow.
home to do examinations because I had examination fever.
Oh, wow.
That right there was a load on my mind.
Wow.
4 subjects,
Tell me
mathematics,
about it.
SST, science, and English, but you feel like you don't need to do
Wow.
this.
So, like, you felt like you feared like you may fail.
Did you love your
or
examinations?
I don't even remember.
That, me, I remember. So I got
Wow.
sick.
Oh.
I got sick. Boy, say examination fever and all this.
Yeah.
That's my first, I think, interaction with something on your mind, which is more than you can
Yes.
hold on to.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So fast forward, you fall in love or you grow in love or whatever you do.
Yes.
And then someone for some reason decides to be like, I'm no longer part of this. And that right there, let me tell you, loss, the grieving, okay?
True,
When you
true.
hold on to someone, then they just kind of be like, I'm no longer doing this with you.
Yes. Yes.
You know? I don't want to go into that. But
Yeah.
that's just another one. And I think grief, like grief, because
Yeah,
loss,
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
Maybe job, maybe this. But I've had challenges with my mind.
Yes, yes.
The most recent is last year. I had to go to my dad,
Yes.
my biological father, and tell him we need to talk.
It was that bad.
we just we need to talk. So he told me what's happening, and I told him.
Yes.
And this I speak because I've shared with the youths I lead.
Yes.
I told him, I've failed. I've failed. Right now I can laugh about it.
Yes.
But trust
it was
me,
serious back then.
because I was trying to do life the best way I know how.
Yes.
And then what we call barrenness, you don't get results.
Yes.
You are pursuing all these ends, you're doing all this,
Yes.
and you're not getting the results. Yet society has expectations from you.
True.
As a man,
Yes.
okay, as a leader, as maybe a fiance or whatever, okay, and then you see you're counting all these and there are no results.
Yeah.
So I had to go home and like, let me go back to the roots and ask,
And I know how to
what's
deal
happening?
with this. Wow,
Yes.
wow. I think we.
So-
I think also that came to maybe childhood. You know, to go back to the roots, like your childhood, how your childhood shaped how you saw what success was, what progress was. So when you went to see your
My
dad,
father.
your father, what advice did he give you? Because probably someone would want to know.
Oh, he gave me
something.
loads. He gave me loads because we had a beautiful thing. I'm a leader in church, and then one thing I discovered was most of our issues, like I told you, I love issues. They that stem from family brokenness. Like there are these divisions, this brokenness.
Yes.
You want to be understood by those around you.
Yes.
And no one seems to be understanding you. Or maybe you can't express yourself well enough to be understood.
Yes.
And so for me, I was dealing with dad wounds. Most of the things,
Wow.
it was just dad wounds.
Wow.
Not that my father does not love me, but I was not really seeing or feeling or receiving that love. Maybe I had definitions of how I have to receive it.
Yes, true.
So I had to face those fears and then go and talk to him. So this is how the conversation went. I told him, why am I struggling with doubt, with loving myself? And why do I feel like you don't love me? It was just much more like that. Why do I feel like you don't love me? And he told me, who told you I don't love you? Wow. And this is a thing that I think most sons and most daughters have never really had father, son, father, daughter, mother, son, like love.
Yes.
So we have our
Paternal
biases.
love,
We have our biases. We're like, my mom is like this.
Yes.
My dad is like this. And that's who they are. But yet you also misunderstand them. Me, I had misunderstood my dad, honestly speaking. So this gentleman tells me, I love you, my son. And that moment he told me, I love you, my son. Trust me, deliverance happened.
Wow.
All the things I was feeling, I just looked at him. Of course, I was tearing and stuff. And then I started telling him, I'm happy. I'm happy. And truthfully, Jacqueline, I felt I could go to status and tell him, Seven, I need your job right now. Like that's how I felt. I felt invisible.
Yes.
Just by that affection and by that validation, in a sense.
Yeah, actually, when you talk about validation, people do not understand what it means to be validated. Because I'm sure at some point you thought, no, my dad loves me, you know. But then you needed to hear it from the horse's mouth to say, you know what, I could have been tough on you, you know, growing up, but I love you, you know. That validation, it's so strong.
But, okay, for me, a little bit of backtracking.
Yes.
I didn't do my school as well as I should. I could have. Okay.
Yes.
So there's something that used to hang over me that my dad is disappointed in me. Because as this son, he expected to go and pursue medicine, you know. I went to one of those prestigious colleges in the country, you know. And then guess what? I was just maybe lazy. And then, of course, he spoke about the disappointment someday, and then it hung around. Like I would just feel like I disappointed him. And sometimes you'll be like, okay, I've moved on, but it's hard sometimes to move on from primary relationships, like your husband, maybe your wife, maybe your parents. They linger on for a while.
Yes, that's true.
So ultimately, I just had to go back and tell him, you know what, I'm struggling with loving myself. and loving you. And this is last year.
Yes.
This is last year.
Yes. When you're already when you're already a big
Yeah.
man.
Use the word old because honestly, I'm old. I'm an old man. Look at the beards.
Yeah.
So I was struggling with that. And of course, I was doing a lot of reading here and there. And I discovered, no, if I say I've not been given a spirit of fear, there are things I need to face.
Yes.
Head on.
Yes.
And one of the things I need to face is my dad, and here I signed off that story.
you
And he
decided.
told me, I'm proud of you, by the way.
What gave you the courage? Or how, when you're dealing with the struggles that you're dealing with, loving yourself and self-doubt, what gave you the courage, number one? But again, the most important one is, how did you know that it is going back to your dad that you actually needed to deal with that specific problem?
Most of my teachings with the young people at church,
Yes.
I deal so much with identity.
Oh.
So there are 4 things I speak about. Where are you from? Origins. Why are you here? Purpose and meaning.
Yes.
What you do while you are here? Morality. And then where are you going? Destination.
Yes.
And so when you look at all those existential questions, they go back to where are you from?
Yes.
Primarily your biology, like physical,
Yes.
where are you from? Then the spiritual, your heavenly Father.
Yes. Yes.
And so for me, I discovered, I used to say, Mukama tatuwade moyo wakutya, like spirit of fear. But every time I used to look at my family, there are things personally are not addressed.
Yes.
And so it was more of, I went to my mother, told her, I want to really talk to my dad.
Yes.
Not because he's wrong,
Yeah.
but because I'm struggling. I'm
it
a
was
son.
about you at that
Yes.
time. Yeah.
I'm not here to blame no one or what, to just be like, give me your view because me have biases in my head.
Yes. And wow, I congratulate your dad that he did not, get an outburst for you, because if you're to ask your parent, oh, I feel like I was not loved, they would feel offended,
And
And
I think
he-
also,
yes.
when you're approaching your parents, I mean, pray for wisdom. You can't just go, like you have all these guns and you're like, now you put them in the court, in the
okay,
courtroom.
okay.
I just went to my dad and I was telling him, I'm struggling
Yes.
with this perception of you. So help me understand. And I don't think there's any parent who will not want to help a child understand
Yes.
or love themselves more effectively. So for me, it was not much more of, I am putting you here. No, that's the bias I'm speaking about. You are wrong. You did this. No, he's a man. Our parents are human. They make mistakes, okay? The same way, Jackie, would I want you to hold on to my mistake? No. But I was telling him, help me understand. And so it goes back to the comedy we do. You notice
Yeah.
the comedy in the country reinforces particular stereotypes. African parents are like this. White parents are like this. So we are teaching the young people not to address particular things. If you're doing a joke, I'm a comedian, and people tell me you're too serious for life, and I know why I'm too serious for life. But you're saying, Abaganda bwebati, Abasoga bwebati. You're reinforcing a young man who is in secondary to be like, okay, as a Muganda, I have to be a thief. I can't fight against my nature. You understand?
They embody
They are years. You
what has
flesh
been
out
said.
things.
Yes.
And then we have this entire thing of it's just a joke. I don't believe words are just words.
Because you see,
I don't believe that.
One thing about creativity is that it's speaking a message.
It's
you know?
service.
And so, what message are you putting out there? Wow, that's a very good way to look at it. And for creatives that are into comedy, please put that in mind. Think about it.
They're like, I want to be funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
can
not
be
about-
funny, not at the expense of the person.
Yes, not at the expense of someone's main programming.
Yeah, that word programming.
Yeah, brain programming. Yes. So anyway, okay. Let's go back here. So many creatives, because we've been talking about creatives, suffer with anxiety, like you talked about identity. They suffer with so many mental health issues, drug addiction, and you as a youth leader who is in church and also a creative as well, how should you advise them to turn to prayer, turn to God, turn to an outer source that is greater, that is the greatest, and that is God? How can you encourage them to do that?
Okay, one, maybe I'll just share my story briefly.
Yes.
It's lengthy. So I'll just say one, priorities. Priorities. Every time you have a focus on the temporal, uh, a lot will happen, you know. For me, I would want a creative out there to know that you've been given a gift, and that gift is a service. Like how you say civil service, okay? A gift is to serve, and not even yourself, but others, okay? So you are serving others, but also you need to be served. So who is serving you? Who is working in you so you can work out others?
Where do
Why
you
we
draw
yes,
from?
where do you draw from?
Yeah.
Now, where you draw from will either empower you to walk this
Yes.
journey with embracing the fatigue and challenging the fatigue,
Yes.
or you'll break down because you are
Yes.
not feeding right. So I believe some of our creatives are not feeding right. That's, I'll tell you honestly.
Yes.
I've been in a life where I'm asking myself, what am I watching? Who is my role model?
Wow.
Because you'll notice that if you are feeding from someone who is telling you you cannot sing minus using some drugs, they'll give you a high. That's what you'll do. But is it sustainable? That's one. So why some of us have given ourselves so much to the church thing and to God, we've discovered that life is done in a community. There is power in you having a tribe.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
So me, my pastor, or my dad, or my sister telling me, I've taken long without hearing from you. Are you well? That is what life is about, the community. So what is your community? If I can reference the scriptures, it says, the scriptures say, a man who listens to the counsel of the ungodly, that kind of person is not blessed. Okay, for just simple language.
Yes.
Because counsel is very important.
True.
So for all creatives, life is full of challenges. I'll not tell you there will not be a challenge. Life is, I think that's the first thing, bottom line, baseline.
Yes.
I came to terms with.
Yes.
Life is a fight. Whether you're a father, you're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a son, life is not, hey, this is life, we are doing life. No, there are fights. It's a war, whether you accept it or not.
True.
Things will hit you and you're like, you guys, I'm not this strong, but I've come. Okay? So community is very key. But also, what's the quality of the community you're about? I mean, there are people we have, guys, and for them every time it's about girls. Is that sustainable?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So finally, God has given us a privilege of resetting. That's why we wake up in the morning.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's this entire symbol of today has happened, sleep, wake up. There is a newness, there's a freshness, okay?
Wow.
So there is an opportunity to reset. You don't have to keep on doing the same thing you've been doing if it has been giving you toxic results in your mind and in your heart. You can try to do life maybe how Jacqueline did, you know, based on her story.
Yes.
You know? So seek help as a creative.
Yes.
And then there is always a reset. Every day is a reset, by the way. Every day.
That the new masses every morning.
It's a reset.
Wow.
But the challenge is we hold on to yesterday. And you're still bitter and you're still like, okay, that person, I will show them that I'm what. But imagine you wake up and you're like, okay, it's new. I'm cutting this off, I'm cutting this off, I'm cutting this off. Why do you feel the way you feel in the new year? Like January.
You're resetting in your mind.
Because your mind has recognized that there is a new gate opening. But you know, it's the same thing for the new day. It's a new gate. But because we recognize new year, then around March, you're like, this year has gone. Let me give it up on it. My resolutions are gone.
Yet there is that day.
There is a day.
Wow.
God is giving you an opportunity to reset. I was born this way. You can be born again.
Yes.
On a daily.
Yes. You can say, I was born quarrelsome. You can wake up in the morning like, I reset today.
I reset. I'm tired of quarreling. Please, someone help me. And you seek the help. And there are people like you, psychologists and people who can help us to be newer.
Wow.
On a daily.
Okay.
Am I talking too much?
No. Like,
because I love talking.
That's what we want here, because we want people who are very vocal about their journey and their struggles, their triumphs. I think there's talking about struggles, but I think the triumphs also, because you could be, because for me, I have had so many empowering moments when I just hear about someone else's story of how they struggled, but they did not stay there, and then they triumphed out of it. So, in you as I'm still that on that part of you as a pastor, and
Okay,
as a Christian,
you
and
really
as a
want to.
creative.
Sure.
How do you think the church and the Christian community can embrace topics of mental health? Because, there was a certain point when I remember when there was an outbreak of AIDS, and, churches were talking about AIDS. This is AIDS. Do this, praying for it. But how can we involve also maybe the community, the church community and the Christian community to acknowledge it? Because you see, when you acknowledge it, you give it a name, and when you give it a name, you show this disease, this mental health issue, who has a greater name. So how can we do that?
I think it's a very huge, huge task.
Yes.
But then all huge tasks, we have a generation that is so depressed.
True. True.
You know why? Because all our media and all our communication
Yes.
has what I call corruption. Okay,
Oh, okay.
the ideas we are selling to the people are not sustainable. It's fantasy.
Yes.
It's not even ideal. It's not even real, the life. So when someone speaks about marriage, they don't even what
It is
the
really.
average is.
Yes. 'Cause they're
Love,
saying
when you
the
speak of love,
Hollywood, yeah.
it's not the telemundo. Love itself, the selflessness, all these things,
Yeah.
caring about the other more than you. So we have to do the teaching role.
Yes, yes.
I think the teaching ministry in most churches needs to be really reinforced,
Yes, true.
like grounding the believers. Beyond this, hey, excitement, hey, what, hey, I'm this, I'm a Christian, I'm what?
I'm
Walking the
overtaker.
practical, pragmatic Christianity is very key. But back to the church as an institution, I feel we also have to break the institution and practically one-on-one.
Yes.
Like how the early church was?
Yes.
Sometimes we
Family.
are so into the numbers, the numbers game,
True,
okay?
true.
But if I talk to Jacqueline today,
Yes.
that is what is important for me. So specifically to the pastors, our fathers of faith,
Yes.
if we can say, I love ministries that have done the cell approach, like cells.
Yes, yes.
Can we restore small groups? It goes back to communities, okay? Because we are doing life large numbers, but you know what Jonathan Mudhaasi is going through, you cannot access him. So if you restore the small groups, that may be leaders at small levels,
Yes,
you can be able to know what those 5 youths are going through and then to address it beyond the pulpit. So for me, I still encourage the restoration of small groups. If a ministry does not have the small groups, they have to say a way to bring back the cells and home kind of approaches, okay?
Because it even goes back to the letters that the apostles in the Bible wrote. They wrote to communities, the church in Corinth. But when you read deep, it's about like they were in families, in people's homes.
Yes, but also it's different. The letter to the church in Corinth is different from the church Galatia. So sometimes we have one formula, one size fits all, and sometimes the pulpit ministry, when you're giving, okay, pray about it. I may even be struggling with prayer.
Yeah.
Look at the Psalms.
Yeah.
David, there are Psalms, 6, there is 40, 38.
Yes.
There are these Psalms where David is like, but why not, when are you answering my prayer, this and this. And we read them and you're like, this is the man after God's own heart.
He looked frustrated.
And yes.
Yes.
And so sometimes the pulpit is great, but the small groups can be more effective for these young people, even for the families that are struggling. So, but also the pastors have a lot on their shoulders.
Yes, true.
Okay. So I would also encourage the young people in ministries. I say a lot of young people because I'm a youth pastor anyway. But I would encourage believers. Seek help. Seek help. Jacqueline, no one sometimes will be looking out for you in the sense you want to be looked out for.
No one is coming to save you.
No one
you have
is.
To find a way.
Okay?
Yes.
Or sometimes. Like, so if you can be like, okay, I'll go to Jacqueline and share with her this.
Yes.
It's important. But for me, in summary, is how do we eat the elephant in the room, one by one piece at a time? Sometimes we are so focused on the quantity, the
picture.
big picture. But what about this one person
one
whom I can
person.
help?
Wow.
Okay?
Actually, I remember when I was struggling with, my mental health challenges, at some point I stopped going to church, not because I was an unbeliever, but I felt as if church did not understand me. And then I went to the scripture of I went to this story of was it Elijah, his son who could put down Jezebel.
Yeah.
Yes, Elijah. Then he went to the desert to the point that God used to send ravens. And no one would have sent me that scripture, but I just, going through, and then I was like, I really relate to this. I feel as if I'm in that place whereby I'm in the desert and God is sending these different scriptures for me of, God, even if you're, in the desert and you're isolating yourself from maybe overcoming a spirit, maybe Jezebel, but God is with you, God is understanding you. And so when you talked about, like, it's not like about the bigger picture, but there is just that person that may need a different message that may be for the majority, but there is just still that spot of a person that may need something different. And so if there is like the family, gathering, the home cells,
And I think, Jackie, just to maybe come in,
yes,
like we have this mentality in the churches.
yes,
How can the pastors do this? How can the leaders do this?
yes,
But leadership, if you look at the word leadership, the influencing, the ability to influence,
yes,
it's not just for pastors.
yes,
These are guiding you on how to become a better leader for your life and for others. So what has Mudhaasi done, whether he's not a pastor, that if you recognize, Jacqueline is not attending church.
yes,
Have I given Jacqueline a call? Am I waiting for the pastor to do that?
yes,
It's also a challenge for us to be Christian. No, our responsibility, like, okay, just bring it to the biological family.
yes,
Your sister's been missing from home. Will you be like, oh, what is mommy doing about it? Because a pastor is a spiritual father.
yes, yes,
What, mommy and dad, what are they doing about it? You'll be literally concerned.
yes.
So I feel like most of us as Christians have to go back to the place where we are brothers keepers, sisters keepers, in the real sense of the word.
True.
Some of us go to church and then just get out. We don't even say hi to the next person. So is that community? Is that family? No, it's not. So when I say restore small groups, that's what cells have. Manageable. They can be like, okay, she hasn't been attending the previous cells. What's wrong? Oh, she lost someone. This and this. So you can be able to do life with someone.
Wow. So I know you talked about people say you're a serious person.
Yeah, I have a serious
to be
face.
A comedian.
I have a serious face. I look like I don't laugh.
But again, you won an award.
Even the haircut. Serious haircuts. Even the haircut is just like for serious people.
Yeah, for serious people. So, but again, you won an award, in that, in your seriousness, but in comedy. That's why you won an award.
I'm actually funny.
How how do you kind of like use do you use your creativity as a comedian as a coping mechanism, or you only use it for ministry?
I have, you are going to allow me to speak about the word coping, okay?
Okay.
Yes. We can do life survival. We can also do life thriving, okay? So we need to get past the surviving and start thriving in a way.
Oh, wow.
So for me, comedy, yes, there was a coping sometime, okay? But later I realized it's an instrument to instruct others with. Primarily, I'm a teacher. I'm a teaching pastor. So this is a tool I have to teach others, okay?
Wow.
So it's no longer coping. It's more of instruction. It's an instrument. It's a tool, okay? So imagine you had money, and then this money is just more of to survive by, okay? Or to actually invest and really, really do exploits. So for me, comedy is that. It's a gift the Lord has given to me. We just call it comedy because it's what people understand. But it's basically, can you draw out people to a place of joy, place of laughter, a place of love? That's what we could actually call it. But because if we say, oh, we are drawing you to a place of love, like, what is this, okay? So for me, it's a tool. It's a tool I use to teach and to instruct others. Let me give you an example. Someone will be like, okay, you cannot do a joke without lying. And I'm like, is that true?
Is it a joke? Is it
Okay.
impact?
Yeah. Then I will give you an example of most pastors when they are sharing maybe in church and they are preaching and people are laughing and they're not really lying. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe when you're home with your parents and you're in that family and you're speaking about, oh, yesterday this and this and that, and you're laughing.
Memory, and then it's funny.
So as creatives, we don't have to just settle for the stereotypical ways of doing things, the forms that have been handed over to us. Oh, this music will not sell if you don't put these particular people in it doing this. So for me, it's a tool to challenge that and to really restore the real love of God.
So you talked of family and comedy not being compromising, shouldn't be compromising to a certain way of doing things, but as as a pastor, the list, you know what the
You
list
keep
is showing.
referring to a pastor.
You know what the list is going to be.
Okay.
Do you feel like comedy and vulnerability clash? And if so, how how do you navigate being funny and being real?
They only clash if the comedian himself
Yes.
wants them to clash because he's the artist. He
Yes.
wields them, okay?
Oh.
So because comedy is made up of you, the performer, the material you are performing, and your audience. But comedy is actually, and laughter, is actually built on vulnerability, okay? I want to have a little bit of flying to cough, so. But it's built on vulnerability.
Yes.
Yes, so that's why you find most comedians saying, we were poor, we were this, okay? I need to. Can you ask another question so that I just...
Okay, so...
Excuse me. So, comedy is built on vulnerability. It's hard for someone to say, growing up we were rich and people want to listen.
Yes.
So you find most people reinforcing their nakedness.
Yes.
That's where you get the laugh.
Oh, wow. Talking about people reinforcing their nakedness when they are dealing with their comedy. Sometimes artists go through this burnout. You're having this creative block that, writers talk about it, comedians talk about it. For you as Mudhaasi, how do you deal with moments such as that?
Burnout is real.
Yeah.
Burnout is real. It comes back to what we said about feeding. Sometimes there is a comedian who was secular. I say secular because I'm more faith-based. Robin Williams. He committed suicide.
Wow.
And many times artists are giving out more than they are receiving. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I remember you talked about it.
So if you're serving other people, don't just artists, even leaders, if you give out more of yourself than you are replenishing, you burn out. It's what actually burnout is. Because this has to be
Give and take.
yes, a cycle of I'm giving, I'm feeding. I'm giving, I'm feeding. So it's sustainable. But so long as you give out more than you can receive, you burn out. So it goes back to what we say, doing life in tribes or communities and knowing how you're feeding. If you reach a place of burnout, reset. I mean, you don't have to release a song every year. So if you discover that you'll be like, okay, let me change the rhythm.
Yes.
Maybe it's not sustainable.
Yes.
But then some of our artists have fans who are the expectations.
They want to fulfill these expectations.
Yes. So if you're a market-based performer, like you are performing based on the market, chances are that you're going to really burn out. Because in commerce, we learned that the needs of people are insatiable. You can't satisfy, not even your mother or father. So you come back to a place of purpose. Why are you doing this? If it's for the money, if it's for the money, if it's for fame, these things look like they are great, but you can't sustain.
You cannot sustain them.
Yeah, they can't give you that entire resolve and push to keep on moving. So there are things beyond the money, the fame.
Yeah.
And it comes back to a place of purpose.
You're reminding me of a statement that Will Smith talked about, and he said that people talk about the rock bottom. That for him, he has seen the mountain, the top of the mountain, like it's empty as the ones that are complaining that talk about the rock bottom. Like he has done movies, he has sung, he has rapped, he has done it all, and then he reached there, and it was all nothing. It was like what have I done? Okay, yes, I've done this, but
That's Will Smith.
Will Smith, and it amounted to nothing.
I
in
wish
the
I could
end.
get a chance to ask him. Okay. Like, what was he pursuing? Okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
sometimes it's nothing because you were looking for a particular, and maybe even someone, Jacqueline would have told you, no, this is an illusion. You get?
Oh, yeah.
Ecclesiastes, the philosopher, says, this is a guy, we believe it's Solomon who wrote Ecclesiastes. He had 1,000 women. Now, Solomon would come and tell people, guys, it is nothing, like, be with your one lady, treat her well. 1,000 is overrated, it's nothing. And then, so experiences of people can literally show us that the
Yes.
things we are pursuing. We have rich guys telling us, Warren is a guy gave 45% of his wealth and was like, money is a tool. Oh, you're like, no, you're lying to us. Money is everything. But this is a guy who has the money telling you money is a tool. So sometimes we need to reach there and then we discover, but purpose. You see, Miles Munro, one of my favorite coaches on leadership, the late, said, where a purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable.
Yes.
So some of us are abusing the gift of life because we do not have purpose. Even the gifts we have, we don't know. So we are thinking it's money, we think it's fame, and then we discover we have all the fame. And guess what? We are still empty.
Yes.
We are still empty.
Even us ourselves, we cannot be satisfied just like that.
Some people think marriage is everything and discover there is something called purpose. And last time I was having a conversation with one of ladies I respect, Bahati, and we're speaking the same thing. And I told her that the reason why the Pauls didn't marry is their purpose was far greater than even this framework of marriage, far greater. And so they said, I'd rather pursue this and have satisfaction in this. So if you think it is money, if you think it's marriage, be very sure it is. Otherwise, if that's not the purpose why you're on this earth, you'll always feel empty and not satisfied.
Wow.
I hope I'm not scaring someone. I'm just telling people, you need to come to a place where you ask yourself, why am I on this earth? Why am I here?
Yes.
The reason I went to tell my dad was that, I would go on stage to do comedy, and people would tell me, you are very gifted, but you have so much self-doubt. So I was struggling with many things, imposter syndrome, all these things.
You're taking me to a point. I remember one time I met Sandra Suri, and she said to me one thing, you're so apologetic.
Yes. Now all that is from us who have been hurt here and there.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry about this. Okay, this and this.
Yes. You're so apologetic. Wow. So anyway, like right now I'm also learning. So that's why
I'm also learning.
that.
Yes, okay.
I remember last week we had a filmmaker who said he's going to go back and watch the video, because every time he talks about his artistry, he's learning as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, we are beings that can never run out, I believe. But anyway, we were talking about, I want to ask you about how you deal with boundaries, how you form habits that help you stay grounded. That help you stay grounded in this.
Okay,
in this era, it's a digital era, too much information. We are reading about this, and that. People are overly stimulated with too much information. But how do you stay grounded as Mudhaasi?
Honestly, I'll be lying if I said that I'm there.
Yes.
No. I've been listening to a lot of men who've been helping me, and ladies. And one thing I've learned is we need mentors.
Yes, true.
So the only way you're going to form habits or boundaries
Yes.
is you learn from people who have already formed some of
Oh,
those habits.
yeah.
So you need a mentor, you need a coach. And you see, life coaches are on the increase, okay? Because some of us have been moving through life just there.
Randomly.
You get, so you need a mentor. Do you have someone mentoring you? In the real sense of the word, don't say this thing, my spiritual father, this, my whatever father. Do you have a mentor, someone who speaks to your life? When we say models, people who have done,
The work themselves.
yes, that which you want to attain.
Yes, yes.
So I'm not that kind of person right now. And the thing I've done this year is I challenge myself to be waking up at 4:35 every morning.
Wow.
So I begin with small, achievable. And trust me, I'm waking up at 5. And so I have an altar with the young people that I lead. And so that means if I don't wake up, no altar takes place. I have to wake up.
You have to wake up.
Yes. And so I'm proud that I've been at least achieving that. The rest, God will be my helper. Yes.
If you're a parent, for it's compulsory because you have to wake up to take the kids to school. But it's amazing. You talking about like it starts with just small habits. Waking up at 4 a.m. at 5 a.m. and then you keep on building and building and building, and then you add on another habit and then another habit, and within no time you've mastered so many skills that people can say if some people are not even believe that you went through a season where this was not even possible, and then it brings you to that point of encouraging someone, whereby if someone says, "Oh God, it's too hard," you're like, "It was hard for me before."
It's hard because habits. Back to habits.
Yes.
Messi didn't become Messi overnight, or Ronaldo, or any person who's accomplished what they accomplished in. There is a vision. Which vision we call is the picture of the end, the image of the end.
Yes.
So if you're in a soccer match, your vision is you scoring the goals you want to score. But then there are opponents. And so you have to actually dribble, you have to give this person the ball and what. There are those small measurable things you can do in the now.
Yes.
Because you're not yet at the goal or at the penalty area. Okay? So some of us, when we think of our visions, we think overnight, I'm going to become a superstar. Guy, do what you can do today, what you can achieve today, the measurable. Okay? Don't put so much load on your mind.
Yes.
And this is what comparison has done for us. We compare ourselves to the other lady who has 200 pairs of shoes.
With the
walk your one pair, as long as it's still working.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
And then believe.
Wow.
You do the right things. Yes.
Which advice can you give to a young Christian out there, young creative Christian, even if they're not Christian? Because this goes broadly to every creative. What advice could you give a creative out there who's dealing with drug addiction, who's dealing with things like pornography, masturbation, depression, anxiety? Which advice could you give?
You spoke about pornography. And I was just in a teaching recently, and they're giving us American statistics. 75% of men in church in America are struggling with pornography. 75%.
Wow, that's a huge number.
I think in Uganda, we also are around there. So life is real, okay? And I'm sorry that you have struggles that you're going through. But one thing I'll let you know is you have to fight. And there is what we call a good fight. There is a bad fight, there is a good fight. Rarely have I met someone struggling who says, I love the struggle I'm going through. Okay? Many people are hurting, actually. They want to break the cycle. Okay?
Yeah.
So like we've been speaking here is community. One thing I'm going to tell someone out there, the devil holds us hostage because we what we call shame and guilt. You know, but if you can be willing to expose yourself, of course, not just to anyone, but look for someone and pray and tell God, I need someone I can really tell this. That's one.
Yes.
And I think in Uganda now, like Jacqueline is a psychologist.
Yes.
There are people who can maybe recommend spaces where you can go and share what you're going through. And those will be able to tell you how to go and to grow out of this. So for me, it's what I can advise. don't isolate. Don't isolate. Like seek community, seek communion, what we call fellowship, communion. Doesn't have to be church in the sense of church,
Yes.
but people, you're not the first to go through that.
Yes.
Look at Joseph, who was sold by his brothers, was what? He's a slave, he's a what, he's a what? I mean, if you met Joseph right now, I would tell you, you don't know what I'm going through. Joseph, you know? But how is he able to keep on? He had a dream.
Yes.
He had a dream. And for him, it was so much strong with God. Elijah, he spoke about Elijah.
Yes,
Elijah needed rest. I mean, he was from a showdown with how many? 400 something
Yes,
prophets.
yes.
And he has a lot of fear. And God tells him, sends him some food. Maybe you need to eat food, spiritual food.
Yes,
A different food than you've been eating.
yes.
And that does with counsel, the word we call counsel. Because counsel is what people are feeding you on. Oyo muchawe, oyo bichi now, bwakuba na mukube, bichi mwedze. Such things, okay? So, honestly, I'll just tell you community, for me, community. I cannot under or overemphasize it.
Community.
Yes, because the devil isolates, the lost sheep. Isolates you, beats you properly.
Without no one to save you.
No one.
Oh wow. What word? Oh, I'm still thinking about the sheep. So I was having the vision.
Sheep, yeah. Yeah, so lets you and eats you very well.
What scripture do you run to, or what scriptures can you really remember when you're in a tough time?
Read it. Perfect love casts out fear. It's one of the things that I could speak so much about fear, but fear is negative expectation. Okay, you expect negative.
Oh yeah.
So hope is positive expectation. You expect positive.
Yes, yes.
So every time we have negative expectations, because people have taught us that nothing good is happening tomorrow. And so the first thing God gives us is hope.
Yeah.
Okay, hope. Good news.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Live at 9 and then you're watching the news and then you're feeling like we are hopeless? What's happened to our country? Because bad news, by nature of the news, it has been designed to just show you the negative things happen. So it messes with your mind. So you need some positive good news, and that's what the Bible is.
Yeah.
So fear, God says, have I not commanded you? Be strong, be courageous. Do not be dismayed. Because the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua is just going for fights. Jericho, all these cities. God is telling him, have I not commanded you? So God commands us to be strong. Does he know we are strong? He knows we are weak. But he gives us a commandment to be strong. And he reminds us, have I not commanded you?
Yes.
A scripture I run to is 1 John 4:18. In love, perfect love casts out fear. So like I told you, I'm a love of love. The truth is, every time I'm fearful, it means I'm out of line with the response to the Heavenly Father.
Yeah. Because even I remember when you read about the story of Gideon, where the messenger of God, I think it was an angel.
It was an angel
who had met Gideon, and then he was like, "Almighty man of valor."
Yes.
And then he was, "But I'm the least
I am
in
the
my
least
country.
in my world.
I'm the least in my family." So when you talk about that, when God comes to you, or that things connected
Perfect
to God,
love casts out fear.
Yes, it's about something that is positive, like. You, almighty man of valor, you're the head and not the tail, and all of those other things. And sometimes I believe when we are dealing with mental health, we are dealing with negative mentalities, and therefore we need a voice that is contrary to those negative mentalities that we are battling with.
And for me, a mind that is out of line with the mandate of God is what basically unhealth is, or disease. Because disease is uneasiness and comfort, you know,
a discomfort.
Yeah, discomfort.
Oh wow!
So when God says, "Love the Lord your God with all your mind," why is our mind filled with negativity? Because it's out of line. It's out of sync. I love harmony of minds. The entire name.
Idea.
Okay,
yes.
Because harmony is you in sync. You are in line. You are straight. You are integral. You know. So most of our minds have been broken. Why? We've been sold wrong ideas. Back to that Jacqueline. We have to go back and question whatever we've been sold.
Yes.
Men don't cry. Who said? Jesus cried not once, not twice in the Bible.
He
Is
cried
he not a
till
man?
it was
And he cried in
blood.
people, you know. So for me, we've been sold wrong ideas.
Yes.
And so when we try to align them, they're not aligning. And so we have disjointed things.
Ungrounded.
Ungrounded. So we are always shifting here and there.
Yes.
We have to go back and question. For me, it comes back to love. Allow me to just end with love.
Yes,
I thought I knew love. You guys, I did not know what love is. And when God said, 1 Corinthians 13 kind of love, he says, love keeps no record of wrong.
Yes.
I discovered personally, I was storing a lot of wrong about myself and about the system about me and other people. And that kept me in bitterness, kept me in grudges, kept me in unforgiveness and all that toxicity. So when he says love keeps no record of wrong, because that's what God does. He forgives us.
Sometimes when you talk about love, because you've talked about a very good concept of it being self. Because sometimes we talk about love, we think it has to be another person, but also your own personal self. So whereby you have self-rejection,
the devil messes you up, then you mess others up. So love your neighbors, you love yourself. How will you love your neighbor if you don't know how to love yourself?
Okay.
So it goes back to love. Guys, God loves you. He really, really loves you. Read 1 Corinthians 13. That's the love I'm speaking about. It keeps no record of wrong. That means God is not there saying, you did something wrong. He's willing to forgive.
Yes.
And when you read that, you're able to extend that forgiveness to your father, who you say, my father this, my father that. 70 years you've not forgiven your dad. And that keeps a toll on your mind.
Yes.
He says, pray for those who persecute you, the government. Yes. Okay? I put there the government. I'm not saying the current government. I'm just putting the government, please, okay? So he says, pray for those who persecute you.
Yes.
Why? Because when you do that, you're able to release all that load. Okay?
Yes.
An eye for an eye. He says, you were taught an eye for an eye, Matthew 5. But I tell you, turn the other cheek. So those are, for me, are concepts that will relieve the mind of the pressure. Grudge, what. So let go and reset, okay?
Yes. One of the things that I would love to know today is that what are you currently working on?
What am I currently working on? Myself. Guys, I'm an entire project. I'm an entire project. I'm working on myself. People have been telling me, oh, your comedy is not here and there. I believe I really have to found and ground myself, okay, before I even serve others. And that's, for me, is very key.
Yeah.
Many of us are serving others without even identifying who we are. So for me, I'm working on myself, and I'm taking it really super slow.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So we are going to be going to the next segment, but again, at the same time, I would love to talk to the people that are watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for being a part of Harmony of Minds podcast. We want to thank Emmanuel Biarhanga, who is always constantly there to watch and comment, talk about our show. And so we are so grateful. Mudhaasi, we are going to a very great segment that I love this segment so much. My phone is freezing somehow.
It's all right.
But I love this segment so much called Fun and Fiery.
Oh, okay.
So let me just ask this question. So this is how the game is going to be.
Fun and what?
Fun and fiery. It is
so
fun.
Do I change the way I'm sitting here? I can just become more fun.
Prefer to feel the heat at the same time, and at the same time have fun,
spontaneous.
Enjoy. Yes, it's spontaneous.
Cool.
So the game is called Bible or Not.
Bible or not?
Yes, Bible or not. Someone to speak a statement, and then you're going to tell me if it's a Bible scripture or it's not a scripture.
Okay, are you trying to trip me in my view?
I'm trying to take you back to Sunday school.
Sure.
All right. So the first statement is, Jesus, take the wheel.
Not Bible. What's the other word I say? That's not Bible. That's Carrie Underwood and that song.
Yes. Okay. Another one is money. Money is the root of all evil. Bible or not?
Misquotation. The love of money. 1 Timothy 6. Love of money.
You've been reading your Bible. Clap. Okay. Another one is a merry heart does good like medicine.
Bible, Proverbs. I can tell you, that's Bible.
Okay, thou shalt not catch feelings on the first date. Bible or not?
That is your ex. My ex.
Okay, even youth grow
Okay, not
tired.
Bible.
Okay, even youth grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. Bible or not?
Isaiah 40.
Isaiah 40. So that is Bible.
Bible.
Oh God, I love this. I've loved this engagement. We are coming to the end of our talk today. And
Oh, this part is just that short.
yes, this part is just, you still wanted more.
Not of the, but I thought you were going to ask me like these things of
Eh,
what. Okay,
no,
but
no,
it's
no.
what?
We want it to be, we want it to be
Specific
something
to.
that is that eases the mind. Because when you're talking about things about yourself, you're opening yourself. So we usually do fun and fiery for us to close up that kind of like
I
experience. And
understand.
when it comes to mental health, people do not understand that sometimes when you talk about yourself, you're exposing yourself, you're opening the
Sure,
wound.
sure.
And when we do fun and fiery, is to close up that experience so that when you leave this place, you're not lingered
I
into
understand.
that
The
talk.
mind I
Yeah.
had was made, but how it's just like hip hop or R&B stuff like that, like that, very cheesy. But it's well,
Wow,
it's
wow.
well.
That's next time we shall remember.
Sure,
Next time we shall
sure,
remember.
it's well.
That's what we had for you today. We had Mudhaasi with us today, and we had an amazing time. I cannot explain to you how amazing that it was. Until next week, have a wonderful night.
All right, that's it.